Okay, it's time for class. Jan told me to say it's time for class. So, good morning. We are in Ephesians, the 5th chapter. We made it through the 4th chapter. We're now in the 5th chapter. And as I said before, we will, when we get through with this class, we will all have read Ephesians, or at least had it read to us. So, it just makes me wonder, when there's three of the elders in the back there talking, and it makes you go, should I be part of that conversation or not? I'm pretty sure if they wanted me there, they would say, oh, I just ran them out of the building now. Oh my, yeah. Philip said, nope, you're no part of this. So I see where I stand. All right, we're in the 5th chapter of Ecclesiastes, and we've talked about this a little bit already, the last two lessons, and we're trying to try to get through about 2 chapters a week, which there's a whole lot more in here than what two chapters a week will let us do, but it's okay. Ecclesiastes is kind of I hate to say a downer book, but it's kind of a downer book because there's so much in it about how vanity is vanity, everything just meaningless, worthless, useless, it's just bad, everything bad. And in life, without God, yeah, it is. So, but we talked about pleasure, we talked about the meaning of wisdom, we talked about folly. Last week we talked about how there's a time for everything, and we talked about oppression, and we talked about how a little bit right at the very end about how advancement really doesn't mean anything either. You can be a king, but if you don't have your followers, then you're not very much of a king. You can be a new person, a new generation come in, and everybody will follow them until somebody else comes in. So it's just a cycle. It's just a cycle. It keeps going and going and going. In chapter 5, it starts out, guard your steps when you go to the house of God. Go near to listen rather than to offer sacrifice of fools who do not know what they do wrong. Guard your steps when you go to the house of God. Go near to listen rather than to offer the sacrifice of fools who do not know they do wrong. Do not be quick with your mouth, and do not be hasty in your heart to utter anything before God. God is in heaven. You are on earth. So let your words be few. Dream comes when there are many cares, and many words mark the speech of a fool. When you make a vow to God, do not delay to fulfill it. He has no pleasure in fools. Fulfill your vow. It is better not to make a vow than to make one and not fulfill it. Do not let your mouth lead you into sin, and do not protest the temple messenger, or do not protest to the temple messenger, my vow was a mistake. Why should God be angry at what you say and destroy the work of your hand? Much dreaming and many words are meaningless. Therefore fear God. Sometimes I don't like teaching class, and I don't like preaching, and I don't like doing some things because sometimes I think I talk too much. And when you talk too much, what does that make you? Mulhollan. So how do you spell Mulhollan? Is it Fool? Or, you know, a lot of times we think our opinion, and did you hear what I said? Our opinion is more prominent than what anybody else has to say. And sometimes we may say things that are not true. To me, that would be the words that are going to cause you some problems. Words of a fool. When you say something in the house of God that is not true, and it says, who do not know they do wrong. It puts some pressure on teachers and preachers to know what they're saying. Now, does that mean to say that people aren't going to make mistakes? Absolutely not, because there are going to be mistakes made. And are there going to be things said that are not true and said unknowingly and yes. But that goes to the grace of God. Remember, these things were spoken to who? Who is Solomon talking to? Come on. I know y'all are awake out there because I said good morning and y'all said good morning back. So, He's talking to everyone. He's talking to everyone. You could say, well, he's the king. He's talking to the king. He's the king over Israel. These are some words from the king over Israel to his subjects. But even if you say that, you narrow it down so much because all the words that he is speaking are words that could be spoken to anybody, anywhere, any place, at any time.
Except verse 1.
Huh?
Except verse 1.
Going to the house of God?
Offering sacrifices.
Offering sacrifices.
That's not talking about tithe.
Not talking about...
That's not talking about tithe. That's sacrifices.
yeah, yes. But the general deal of the book, we can still glean the benefit from it because what's written in that book can be put in at any time, at any place. You're confused? Okay? No? Okay. Make a vow to God. When you make a vow to God, do you keep it? You better. Has anybody made a vow they couldn't fulfill? I don't see many heads nodding yes or no. Please say yes, because I have made some vows that I was not able to fulfill. How does that make you feel when you're not able to fulfill those vows? Yes, very, very, very small. Does God forgive us? I hope so. Because if not, I have no chance. Because I've made so many mistakes in my life that I might be like, I'm more like the Bernstein bear. You know, don't do what I say, do what I, you know. Dreams come when there are many cares. Have you noticed that? When you're just full of things that are bothering you stuff, maybe you don't sleep as good at night, maybe you're a little more restless, maybe you have a little more dreams, maybe Maybe not. But I tend to. And the more I care about things, the less sleep I get. Now that may sound crazy, but that's I'll wake up in the middle of the night and I'll start thinking about something, and guess what? I'm up the rest of the night. Yes, Pat.
I'm sorry, I want to go back. I'm trying to find.
Go back.
I want to go back to the oaths thing, the vow thing. I'm talking about foxhole prayers. No atheists and foxhole, that kind of vow.
I'm not hearing you, Pat. I'm sorry.
I want to go back to the vow thing that you were just talking about. Have you ever made a vow that you've not kept? Right? Was that the question?
Yes, that was the question.
By vow, making a vow, what do you mean by that? Do you mean like when Tina and I stood before God, no less witnesses, and said, I do, and does, and I do too, and all that, or when you were baptized, in that vow, right? Or we talking about an oath? You know what I mean? For example, Matthew chapter 5, verse 33, again, you have heard that it was said to those who oath, you shall not swear falsely, you shall perform your oaths to the Lord. But I say to you, do not swear at all, neither by heaven, towards God's throne, nor by the earth, towards his footstool, nor by Jerusalem, towards the city of the great king. Nor shall you swear by your head, because you cannot make one hair white or black or stay on it. But let your yes be yes, and your no be no. For whatever is more than these is from the evil. Is that? Where did that get that?
I tend to want to kind of interchange those in a way, but in a way I don't, because it says don't make a vow, an oath or swear an oath to God, or to, how does it say it in Matthew? Say it again. What it's there?
It said don't do it.
Don't.
Just let your yes be yes and your no be
That's right, because I don't have to swear on something. That's right. But can I still make a vow that I'm going to do something? Yes, like marriage, and I'm just using, when we're baptized, we make an oath to God. Have we ever broke that oath? No?
not sin. No.
You've never sinned after you made that vow?
Yeah, but you're still in it. I mean, that's kind of going down a tangent.
That's right, it is. It's kind of going down a tantrum.
But this is saying making a vow to God.
That's right, making a vow to God.
But even though you sin and will sin again, you're still covered by the grace of God. Not saying, like Paul said in Romans, if grace abounds, shall I sin more to make it? No, don't.
When I
You're still covered. You don't have to.
when I was baptized when I was in the 5th grade.
Okay.
There was a period of time in my life after I was baptized, after the 5th grade, that I did not live a godly life. I don't think God's grace covered me, because I chose willfully to do. Today, I think God's grace covers me, because I have asked for forgiveness for those things, and I have changed my life. Because if you say that God's grace is going to cover you from one end to the other, whatever you do, then it doesn't matter what you do. You just get baptized and you can do whatever you want. In fact, I have a...
Say God forbid.
Unless you will, but I think that the difference between salvation and sanctification. Salvation.
I made a vow. Let's put it this way. I made a vow to God that I would do your work. Okay, I'm not doing your work. Therefore, I have broken that vow. That's the only point I'm trying to make. I'm not going to try to get into a whole bunch of other, but
I'm sorry.
but
In my mind, though.
but
I think it's vow that it's, I read it literally in Judges 11:31.
And it's his daughter that comes out the door. And he had to kill his daughter. It's a vow that you made to God. Yeah. When you say something, you're supposed to back it up. What if he hadn't backed it up? I don't know. Because he kept his vow. Which to everybody else is saying, why in the world did you do that? You killed your daughter. You know. So a vow is important. If you make one, don't break it. If you see the poor oppressed in a district and justice and right denied, do not be surprised at such things. For one official is eyed up by a higher one, and over them both are others higher still. The increase from the land is taken by all. The king himself profits from the field. You ever seen the oppressed denied justice? Have you ever seen the poor denied justice? No? I see it all the time in our criminal justice system. I mean, should we be surprised that that happens? Do we say, man, I can't believe that happened? No. That's the system. That's the way it is. Does the king of the land profit over the labor of the subjects? Does the President of the United States gain profit over what you do? Come on, everybody pays taxes, right? Do you think it's different in any other country? Do you think there's a country out there that nobody pays taxes on what they do? No. And there's always somebody just a little bit higher than the next one, and a little bit higher. And you say, well, we got the president. There's nothing else higher than that. Well, you got the president, then you got the Senate, then you got the House of Representatives, and then you got, and it just, and over all of them is who? The one that's over everybody. God. So everybody profits. But there's going to be injustices. We'd already talked about that in the earlier chapters. Whoever loves money never has enough. And whoever loves wealth is never satisfied with their income. This too is meaningless. As goods increase, so do those who consume them. And what benefit are they to the owners, except to feast their eyes on them? So you get more, what happens? When you get a lot more, what happens? You have more friends when you have more money? I guess you should say, do you have more acquaintances when you have more money? And then what do you see happen with your money? Your money goes to them, and what has it profited you except for you get to see them enjoy your money? The sleep of a laborer is sweet, whether he eats little or much. But as for the rich, their abundance permits them no sleep. I have seen a grievous evil under the sun, wealth hoarded to them to their harm of its wealth hoarded to the harm of its owners, or wealth lost through some misfortune, so that when they have children, there is nothing left for them. Everyone comes naked from their mother's womb, and everyone comes as they depart. They take nothing from their toil that they can carry in their hands. This too is grievous. As one comes, so they depart, and what do they gain, since they toil for the winds? All their days they eat in darkness, with great frustration, affliction, and anger. Who's he talking about? All their days they eat in darkness, with great frustration, affliction, and anger. Who's he talking about? Wealth hoards to the harm of its owner, or wealth lost through some misfortune. He's talking about the wealthy, the ones that are wealthy without God. If you're wealthy without God, do you sleep good at night? Do you eat your meals? Does the digestive system work the way it should? Are you a happy camper? Or are you just reaching out because with that wealth, I want what? More wealth. I want more. I'm not satisfied with what I have. I want more. I want more. This is what I've observed to the good that is appropriate for a person to eat, to drink, and to find satisfaction in their toils, or in their toilsome labor under the sun during the few days of life God has given them. For this is their lot. Moreover, when God gives someone wealth and possessions and the ability to enjoy them and accept their lot and be happy in their toil, this is a gift from God. They seldom reflect on the days of their life because God keeps them occupied with gladness of heart. I've seen another evil under the sun, and it weighs heavy on mankind. God gives some people wealth, possessions, and honor so that they lack nothing their heart desires. But God does not grant them the ability to enjoy them. And strangers enjoy them instead. This is meaningless and grievous evil. A man may have 100 children and live many years, yet no matter how long he lives, if he cannot enjoy his prosperity and does not receive proper burial, I say that a stillborn child is better off than he. It comes without meaning, it departs in darkness, and in darkness its name is shrouded. Though it never saw the sun and knew anything, it has more rest than that man. Even if he lives 1,000 years twice over, but fails to enjoy his prosperity, do not all go to the same place. The difference between the man of God and the man not of God is what? Peace? Happiness? Salvation? Satisfaction? Contentment?
It's hard to be hateful when you're grateful.
Hard to be hateful when you're grateful? Hey, they could make that a bumper sticker or something. That's pretty good. Now, no, this was not written to Christians today. I know that.
That's why there's so much sorrow.
It's a lot of sorrow.
They didn't have any hope.
Well, if you were the right if you were the right tribe, you had some hope. But yeah, you're right. You know,
They didn't have our hope.
they didn't have the same hope we had. But they had hope in God. I mean, Solomon wouldn't be saying these things if there wasn't some way to change it. Some way for you to acknowledge that, hey, this is right. I need to worship God. I need to go to the house of God, and I need to be quiet, and I need to offer sacrifices in the proper manner. I don't need to go down to the house of God and sell stock twice for what it's worth and think that I've cut a fat hog, because you may have for today, but you have not for later. The difference between the wealthy, is it wrong to be wealthy? That's the first question. Is it wrong to be wealthy? Now, my question is, what is wealthy? Somebody give me a definition of what is wealthy. Yeah, give me a number. I mean, if you say this number makes you wealthy. There's not a number. That's the best answer. Somebody who's got more than you do. That's what, yes.
Satisfaction of knowing God has given you wealth, whatever that is in your thinking.
Okay.
Satisfaction of being where you are.
Okay. Money. And I think that's what he's doing here too. I think that's what he's doing here in Ecclesiastes. I think he's saying, look at this. Look at these people that have all this stuff. They have all this money. They have all this, and they can't enjoy it. Why can't they enjoy it? Well, because they don't have God in their lives, and they can't. That's why the last part of chapter 5 is, and first part of chapter 6 is comparing the two. One, he gives that money and the things and the stuff, he gives it to one with the ability to enjoy it. Now, what does that mean when he says with the ability to enjoy it? It puts him back in their lives. It puts God back in their lives. And now I'm able to enjoy that because I know God is in my life and I can enjoy these things.
Because your purpose with those things becomes different when you have God in your life.
The purpose becomes different when you have God in your life. Why do I make the money I make? Do I make the money I make so I can put it in the bank and save it for some other? And earlier in the chapter, we talked about how the wealth of people. I'm gonna have to look at it. So the wealthy is never satisfied with what they have. What did I do with my Bible? It's over here. Whoever loves money never has enough, and whoever loves wealth is never satisfied with their income. So when I was making $5 an hour, and it took every penny that I made to pay the bills and put meals on the table for my kids, and then I have to buy insurance for my vehicles because the government says I do, and I have to do, but ain't nothing left. Now, if I make $30 an hour, I may have more money left than what I had at $5 an hour. What do I do with that money that I have left? Do I just keep putting it in the bank back here, putting it in the bank to build my bank account up, Or should I be using that money Because I believe, and I didn't look it up, Pat can probably tell me, but it says something about work so that you can do what? Help others? Help others? Do we do that? Is that what we do with our wealth? Is that what we do with things that do we try to help others? So, money, yes. That's how we say what wealth is. We say money, that's how it is. But I can have $0 and be wealthier than you are. Because I have God in my life. So, I hear something too. I don't know what it is. Huh? Oh. But anyway, so, yes, it was, okay. A man without God is a man that is, and I'm just using what he uses, but like a stillborn child. He is in fact worse off than a stillborn child. Because a stillborn child never knew any different. And he did. And that's just hard to understand. Everyone's toil is for their mouth, yet their appetite is not satisfied. Have you ever been satisfied and said, I'm not eating another bite? And then you do. And then you do. And then you do. That's the wrong time of year to say that. What advantage have the wise over the fool? Do the poor gain, or what do the poor gain by knowing how to conduct themselves before others? Better what the eye sees than the roving of the appetite. This too is meaningless and chasing after wind. Whatever exists has already been named, and whatever humanity has been known, no one can contend with someone who is stronger. The more words, the less the meaning. How does that profit anyone? For who knows what is good for the person in life during the few and meaningless days that pass through like the shadow? Who can tell them what will happen under the sun after they're gone? What advantage is the wise over the fool, or over the poor, the wise over the poor? I don't know. I do know this. I'd rather be poor and know God and know how to conduct myself and know how to, not that I do it, I just know how to do it. Rather conduct myself in a way that is right and pleasing to God than I had to be a wealthy man and not know God. Because with the knowledge that I have today, if I'm a wealthy man and I take God out of my life, it's just like I should have never been born, or it would have been better for me not to have ever been born. Life is all about God. God will bring to judgment. Oh, well, that's the wrong one page over. Whatever exists has already been. There's nothing new under the sun. We've talked about that 2 or 3 times. And how many days do we have in life? How many days? What, Pat? No, you want to start something. Go ahead. I've got 2 minutes.
How many days do you have? The rest of
The rest of your life. What does God tell us about days? He says something about if for good, everything goes good, 70 days. I mean, 70 years, not days, 70 years. 70 years. If everything goes good, 70 years. My dad died at 58. Does that mean that things didn't go good for him? Well, Mom's 85 and she's not gone yet. Does that mean she was really been good? No, not necessarily. But, I mean, half the people in here are saying, yes, that's true, but that doesn't mean anything. The meaning is, how do we live those days? What is our focus on? How do we spend our riches and how do we spend our wealth? How do we help others? Are we living for ourselves and taking God out of the picture? Or are we doing this? Are we living for ourselves? And this is just one to go home on and think about. Are we living for ourselves and saying that we're living for God? And I'll let y'all take that one home. Thank you.